I would now like to invite our chief guest, Mr. Amitabh Kant, CEO of Niti Aayog, who has not only graced us with his presence virtually, but also validated our mission with his presence. Sir, I'll ask you to speak a few words, and I will ask Pooja here to come, who is our CEO, to ask you a few questions once you're done. To you, Mr. Kant.
Parents, teachers, students, Mr. Varun Khosla, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm truly delighted that the dynamic world education community has counseled 33,000 students, has 81,000 courses, and 3,300 plus affiliated education partners spread across 20 plus countries. I'm also delighted that you are helping Indian students make all the right choices. Boosting study abroad and internationalizing higher education was typically interpreted to mean sending more and more Indian students to overseas universities. That is outwardly mobility of Indian students. On outward mobility, India has been a big story of the decade. India has ranked among the top 3 countries of the world in terms of sending Indian students abroad. India is not only among the top in terms of the largest share of outbound students, but it has also been one of the fastest growing source over the past decade. There is a second dimension of internationalization of higher education, what is called inward mobility. That is bringing international students to study in India. While Indian students abroad are estimated at over 1 million, international students enrolled in India are less than 50,000 only. The government in recent years has made several efforts to focus on this second front to transform India to become a global destination for international students. Study in India is one such initiative which aims to double India's market share of global education exports from less than 1% to 2%, and it offers seats for international students at affordable rates along with fee waivers to meritorious foreign students. We've used technology, and study in India has been implemented through a dedicated portal which includes students' registration, application process, online entrance exam, information for students on institutions, courses, finances, visas, travel, etc. Several issues have been addressed by the government. For example, international student offices have been set up in 164 Indian universities last year to help students with various logistics such as accommodation, medical help, etc. Number of candidates who applied in 2020 has more than doubled in 2021. And number of countries from which students participated has increased from 12 in 2020-21 to 136 in 21-22. Beyond the above 2 dimensions, if we really want to internationalize higher education in the truest sense, we must also focus on a third dimension of internationalization, that is joint study and research at both Indian and overseas institutions. And therefore, I encourage higher education institutions in India and abroad to fully utilize the opportunities offered by the policies and schemes of the government. That is twinning programs for students to study partly in both Indian and overseas institutions. There is a scheme for promotion of academic and research collaboration, which funds academic and research collaboration between Indian institutions and the world's best institutions from 28 selected nations, and which funds projects to jointly solve problems of national or international relevance. In addition, there is the Global Initiative for Academic Networks, where over 1,200 scholars from 56 countries have visited India to teach such short courses in Indian higher education institutions. It's called the GYAN. We in Niti Aayog have been working with the Ministry of Education to conceptualize and drive several initiatives on all three fronts. Many reforms have been brought in through new regulations in recent years. We now have a visionary and progressive new education policy 2020 after a long gap of 3 decades. What were once ideas are soon to become a reality. Top international universities will be able to operate and set up campuses in India, and detailed regulatory framework is in process of being finalized. Joint degrees between Indian and top international universities would be given, and NEP 2020 will further boost Indian institutions to set up campuses in other countries abroad. Now, fully utilizing the potential of all these government initiatives can be a game changer for our students and our higher education and research ecosystems in India and globally. Varun has spoken at length on a large range of new initiatives. We are in the midst of very major, radical structural changes. The post-COVID era has been driven by digitization. There has been a disruption of global value chains, and the post-Russia-Ukraine war is reconfiguring the world. And therefore, digitization will be critical. We in India strongly believe that this will be the tech aid, and the tech aid will mean that India will drive digital technologies. We have driven platforms like the JAM Trinity and the UPI. Our vaccination process was totally digital. But the world is getting disrupted by new technologies of tomorrow: electric mobility, advanced chemistry cell battery, genomics, biotechnology, solar manufacturing. And the pace of acceleration of disruption is enormous. In the next 10 years, there will be more disruption than what has happened in the last hundreds of years. And therefore, there is a constant need to restructure our courses and the curriculum for the technologies of tomorrow. And this would necessitate constant evolution of our curriculum in many of our institutions, so that we can train our students not merely in hard skills, but the soft skills of tomorrow, so they are able to capture jobs not merely in India, but across the world. And therefore, I'm delighted that there is a discussion today on the future of global education and how global education will enable us to find curriculum and create innovatively curriculum for the jobs of tomorrow. And that is what education should be all about. Thank you very much, and I wish Dynamic all the best and a great future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kant. You have taken a lot of initiatives to map out the plan for Indian economy, and you are also an advisor to Government of India in the forthcoming industrial revolution, which is also known as Industry 4.0. So my question to you is, similarly, plenty of initiatives are also required on education. Many are being discussed and implemented. But do you think the curriculums of today are chancing as fast as the environment around us? How will our students cope up when, according to Dell Technologies, which was authored by IFTF, and a panel of 20 tech business and academic experts from around the world states that 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet?
Yeah, so there is a huge amount of disruption taking place. And many of you should read, though you are from the world of education, must read this book by Peter Diamandis of Singularity University, which says that the world is faster than you think. And I learned about the Moore's law from that book, that the computer chips are accelerating at such a rapid pace, the power that today's mobile phone, you see the number of chips, that beyond a point, the process of digitization and the future of semiconductor is ensuring that you are able to get more and power at lower cost. And that is called the law of accelerating returns. And therefore, technology will be a very big disruptor. And it is therefore important that we are able to train our education people for artificial intelligence, for blockchain, for electric mobility, for robots, for 3D printers. And that is why from Niti Aayog, we have the Atal Innovation Mission, where we started 10,000 tinkering labs, where we teach students all this from class 6 onwards in 10,000 schools, and we are spreading this ecosystem to more and more schools.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kant. Thank you so much for your time. I would like Varun to come up and extend your thanks to Mr. Kant.
No, thank you. No formal thanks are not necessary.
Thank you so much, sir, for being here today.